Hey you guys, me the man back with a YouTube video today. This one is I gave my baby out for adoption. Now I want him back. Okay, no, it's not really called that. I just gave him up. Whenever I need some,
my name is Jane.
I just unpause it.
I'm telling you my story to share my personal drama in hopes that you'll be able to really understand me. Right now, it feels like I'm sitting in front of a ticking time bomb, a huge and terrible time bomb, with no clue about which wires I need to cut. I'm not exaggerating. I only have 3 days left to decide the fate of 2 people, my sweet baby child and myself.
Yep.
I'm 20 years old now. About a year and a half ago, I learned that I was pregnant. At that time, it was a real blow for me. But later on, it turned out that this was just the first blow of many more to follow. I wish I did not even have to talk about the father of my child. I hate the idea that this bastard became famous on the internet the way he did. But I have to talk about how he, my boyfriend, and the father of my child fled as soon as he found out that I got pregnant. He said that it was not his child and disappeared without even waiting for the opportunity to do paternity tests and leaving me completely alone. Especially because my parents were not the type of people who would be willing to take on the burden of caring for a single mother with a small child. They even told me directly that I was not ready to become a mother, that I wouldn't be able to finish college because of my pregnancy, and that without an education, I would never find a good job and would spend my entire life struggling with poverty. And believe me, my parents knew a lot about poverty because they never managed to escape from it. Yes, in my head, I perfectly understood that my parents were right. But deep inside my heart, I couldn't fight the thought they were wrong. I suffered a lot mentally because I had a really hard time making a firm decision. I wanted this child, and I did not want it at the same time. I do not know what I would do next, if not for my cousin Helen, who suddenly came to rescue me. She came to my campus, and it was like my fairy godmother had appeared from a fairy tale. Helen and I practically did not communicate before this moment, and I was very surprised that she came at all. But it turned out that it was my mother who had almost begged her to help me. Helen was a social worker and had dealt with issues like the adoption of children who were neglected by their biological parents. So if anybody could help me, it was her. Helen was a calm and serious middle-aged woman. You know, one of those people who you trust immediately, right when you see them.
Okay.
For starters, she talked to me the way my mother should have talked to me. Helen calmly and mindfully told me about everything that awaited me on the other side of my pregnancy, like what would happen if I abandoned my child and what my life would look like if I left it. It turned out that my mother, in addition to her hysteria and the moral pressure she was putting on me, also urged Helen to immediately register my case in order to look for adoptive parents for my child in advance. But apparently saw my doubts and gave me time to think before the birth of my son or daughter. You see, I did not want to know the gender of the child if I was not sure that he or she would be staying with me. For months before giving birth, I was deep in thought, constantly. I did a lot of thinking. I asked for my friends' opinions. I even talked about my situation with some of my college teachers. No one, of course, could give me the right advice. So I didn't make my decisions until I was in the hospital during the first contractions. I told Helen that I would give up my parental rights and give the child up for adoption, and that I neither wanted to know his or her gender, nor meet the adoptive parents. Helen promised to take care of everything.
Don't you think that's dangerous?
Well, I gave birth. My child was immediately taken away from me, and as soon as I recovered a little, somebody slipped the documents into my hands where I would sign away my parental rights. I signed them indifferently, and Helen kept her promise. All that was needed from me was the signature. Everything seemed so simple.
Don't you think that's dangerous?
And in the beginning, everything was simple, really. My body quickly recovered, and I kept telling myself that everything that happened to me was just an experience, a change from one physical state to another. I even convinced myself that it was like I was just sick for several months, and now that I've recovered and could live a normal life, like go to my college classes, spend evenings with my friends, go jogging in the mornings again, and visit my parents on the weekends. Do not jump to judging me, because really, I had made a decision, and now I just had to go on with my life. Right? And, I really enjoyed this old, new sense of freedom. It felt like I was starting to breathe deeply again. My friends were mindful enough to not talk to me about how my pregnancy ended. In general, nothing prevented me from just forgetting what had happened. But several months passed, and I had come to the realization that I was just a terrible traitor. I had betrayed my own child. I shouldn't have given up so easily. Now I thought about my baby every minute of every single day of my life. I felt such an incredible emptiness that could not be filled with anything else. I had to do something. First, I called Helen, and, she'd be waiting for my call. My cousin understood that I was not one of those biological mothers who could easily give their children up, and although all this caused a serious conflict with her work ethics, Helen had found a loophole for me which could help me to bring my child back into my life. According to the laws of the state of Rhode Island where I live, I still had time to change my mind and to revoke the waiver of parental rights. Helen also gave me the address of the people who adopted my child. Even though she should not have done that, Helen told me that she was breaking the rules for one reason. I only had 2 weeks left until the end of my term. Time was ticking fast. At first I panicked, and then I rushed to the address in the nearby town where, according to the information provided by Helen, the people who took my baby lived. I didn't really prepare for the visit. I had only decided to not inform the adoptive parents of my baby about it. I didn't want to give them time to prepare for my visit, like have them leave the city, or for example have a good lawyer present. Besides, I was not even sure that I would have the courage to go up to their house and tell them who I was. Yes, I really wanted to get my child back, but I could not bear the thought that these people might be mean to me or call me a traitor. I started crying every time I thought about it. How could I defend myself? The mother who gave her baby away and didn't even want to know whether it was a boy or a girl. So I preferred to not think about what was waiting for me. I was just moving forward. When I got there, I saw a large and beautiful house with a massive facade and perfectly groomed flower beds. Obviously, the people who lived there were wealthy. I rang the doorbell, which opened almost immediately, and I saw the owners of the house. The two of them stood side by side, as if they knew that I wanted to take a closer look at both of them. They were a nice-looking couple, a little over 40 years old. I mumbled something to them, inviting an excuse for them to let me in, and taking advantage of their confusion, slipped inside the house. I was lucky the door to their living room was wide open, and there I saw my son sitting inside a small playpen. Now I knew that I had a baby boy. I rushed to hug my child, but his adoptive father managed to grab my hands. Then I just blurted out the whole truth. My boy's foster parents abruptly changed their behaviour. They did not seem nice and polite anymore. They demanded in a very rude way that I leave their house before they called the police and started pushing me towards the exit.
What are you, Jewish?
But I knew that I still had certain rights. I told them that I was leaving today, but only to withdraw the waiver of parental rights tomorrow. It had a sobering effect on these people. They stopped threatening me. Instead, they began to beg me to go away and to leave them and their son alone. They offered me money, which I, of course, did not take. They tried to convince me that I could never give this child a better future than they would be able to. They also told me that they could not have any children of their own and that this boy was their only hope to find happiness and create a family. Somehow, these people still managed to sow a seed of doubt inside me. I left their house
Some
without
people
giving
be
them a yes or
actually
no
doing
answer.
this. What's the point
At the
of
end,
putting them
I
up
gave my
and then you
son
want them
a
back?
long, very
Oh, I
attentive
want them
look,
back.
as if I had
I
seen
want
him
them
not only
back.
for the first,
Make
but
your
also
decision.
for the last time. And
Choose
it's possible
wisely.
that this could be true.
Put the baby
Now
up
I
for
only have 3
adoption.
days left.
Go ahead.
Helen has already prepared
You can
all the
keep the
necessary
baby.
documents.
Go
And
ahead.
again,
Once you
the
put
only
it
thing
up, don't
needed
you
from
dare
me
go back
is
and
my
say,
signature.
I need the
But
baby
I'm not
back.
at all sure that I will
I
sign
need
the
it back.
revocation.
I mean,
I would very much
makes you
like
look
to
like
do
a
it,
fool.
but I'm not
You
sure I
your
will
own
be doing the
child
right
like that,
thing.
though.
I do not know what to do. I am only hoping that in the
How?
next few hours, the right decision will just come to me. Thank you for listening to my story. Tell me in the comments what you would do if you were me. Would you get your...
If I were you, I would have jumped off a building. And I just get my baby back. I would just have to go every single day crying my head out in tears. But yeah, you guys, that's it for today. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. See you guys next time. Peace. But before I go, make sure you guys go subscribe to my Snapchat. Go follow me on Snapchat, Facebook. My boy Fred. And I'm out. Peace.